like I said, ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a treat from an individual out of the Texas marketplace who had experience and coaching experience in business. Teaching others how to have success comes natural to him. He's been happily married for many years with his beautiful wife, and they are doing some incredible work in his area. And I just want to say how much I respect this individual, because he's been able to come on these calls since we got into this situation where we're all virtual, and he's been able to share his wisdom, and he's been able to share why he's been so successful in every endeavor that he's been able to put his mind to. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you have a notepad and a pen ready to take some notes. And for Mr. Dwight Williams, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, and you?
I am incredible. I like that background and that light's coming in nice. I see that.
No, I'm actually in California with my daughter. So I'm visiting here in sunny
nice.
Cali. I'm in your state right now.
Well, welcome out. Well, enjoy the weather. There's no humidity. Enjoy it while you're here.
I am enjoying it, and I'll be here for a little bit while longer. And I'm glad to be here. I'm enjoying spending time with her and soaking in this sun and this nice weather. So hello and good morning to everyone today. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. I really appreciate it. I mean, like I tell Mr. Thomas, and I'll tell you as well, I sometimes don't even know why I'm doing these calls when they got superstars already on these calls that can do these things. And I mean that. I mean that with the most sincerity. I really admire the leadership and the of young people, middle age, and more mature like myself on these calls. Because at any time, you guys are leaders in your own right, and I mean that. All of you are superstars. You just got to believe it and know it for yourself. But I'm really, it is really a fantastic feeling to be chosen. And I really want to thank, even in his absence, Mr. Thomas, for inviting me on to speak to you guys. And it's a privilege, and I take it very, very serious in preparing for it, to spend time just talking to you guys about the opportunity, because I believe in it. I talk to people all the time about the ACN opportunity, and some say, do you still see it? I see it more. I see opportunities more in the challenging times than I even do in the easy times, because that's when you filter. Most people say, what defines a champion? And the thing that really defines a champion is not what he does when they're winning. What defined Michael Jordan was not what he did when he was winning. It's what he did when he was challenged and losing. Same for Kobe Bryant. Same for any champion. Champion. I tell people this all the time. They're saying, "Oh, he's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time." I don't know who the greatest of all time until I've seen them go through the greatest challenges of all time. And once I see what they do, then. Because think about it. What happens to your competition? What happens? What is competition? Competition is people who not compete with each other. It's people who overcome the challenges, as one of the great speakers on here says, overcoming is becoming, which is a great statement. I stole that statement the other day because I love that statement. Overcoming is becoming, because you become the things that you overcome. And so if you're not overcoming anything, then you're really not growing. Today, and so before I get started, Mr. Lewis, I want to thank you for that introduction. I really admire you guys and what you're achieving. Fearlessness, willing to take on the challenge, and to be committed, consistent, and persistent. These are traits also of champions, that they never give up, and they never quit. So with that said, let's talk about what we're here to talk about. I'm going to go kind of between left and right brain today. and kind of deal with. So I hope you don't get too bad with me as we talk. Um, I always discuss motives and intents why people do what they do, because that's the key. I mentor a lot of people, and most of the people, when I mentor them, they're always talking about what they want, the money they want, the things they want, and they never really consider uh, the why they want those things, or the how they plan on getting those things. And at the core of most things, the challenge in most times when people quit and are challenged is motive and intent. Uh, and that's what I've learned over time. I always talk about my career, and I tell you, I was a blessed person. I can't tell you that I set out and had a plan, but I was really passionate about what I was doing, and I loved it. And I understood that loving that thing and being passionate about a thing is a good energy that helps you overcome the times when you are challenged, because you will be challenged. I promise you, in everything you do, unless you stop pursuing, you will be challenged. And when you're challenged, the fuel that helps you overcome challenges comes from different places. Some people are challenged by the things they want. But the challenge with that is when you achieve that, what drives you then? I was talking to a young lady not long ago, and I was telling and I was talking really about myself, and I says, who do you really compete with? Who is the greatest person to compete with? And and some people say, whenever you're going to compete with the greatest of all times. So if you were in basketball, you'd say that would be Michael Jordan. If you were in track, it would be, I forget his name, but he is definitely the greatest of all time. Can't think of his name. The guy from Africa, I think. Can't believe. If you were in boxing, it'd probably be Mayweather, one of the or Muhammad Ali, greatest boxers of all time. If you were in technology, you'd probably maybe say Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, those guys. It all depends on where you're at and what you're talking about. If you're in ACN, you'd be saying it was the Mazers or the Coalition Group or James Adlam. So, but the truth be told, the only way for you to become the greatest of all time is, as Mr. Julian just pointed to himself, is to compete with yourself. You're the greatest, because the only way to ensure that you will never stop or never quit is to compete with you. Because if at some point along this path you become the greatest, um, that is the only person then at that point that you can compete with. And so I don't spend a lot of time focusing on, I admire kind of in the windshield and in my review mirrors, the people that I build on, but I'm always pursuing, I'm always thinking for myself and making decisions that I'm going to be greater than I was yesterday, today. And tomorrow, I'm going to be greater tomorrow than I am today. And I'm always thinking about that. What does it take for me to be greater than I am right now? And I'm always thinking about that improvement. So the number one way for me to become better than I am right now is to gain the information that I don't yet have. Because my favorite book says that we are destroyed, meaning we don't achieve the things in life that we desire because we lack knowledge. And the real challenge is that the promise comes after that. It says that because when knowledge came, meaning knowledge will always be available to us. So the issue is not, so you can't say, well, what happens if the knowledge I need, I never get it? No, the promise in that same scripture says that when knowledge came, which means knowledge is always available for you to go to where you want to go. There will always be the knowledge available and it will be accessible. The problem is the Bible says that we reject it. and we don't go get it. It's in books, it's in seminars, it's available on YouTube. And now, of all times, it's more available now than it has ever been. And but oftentimes we choose not to go get it. So I um, I often have these conversations when I'm mentoring with people. I call it tuning. And when I'm tuning a person, I'm talking to that person more so. They're saying, hey, why are we talking about this? Why aren't we talking about how much money I can make, or how many customers I need to get, and how many? Because those are not the things that produce success. See, success happens for people like Steve Jobs, not because he cares about how much money he makes. It's because he's passionate about doing things that make changes. Their energy, the fuel for what they do, comes from a place not here, but it comes from a place here. They want to do something that really impacts. They really don't think about how much money. They're always thinking about the subject of what they're doing and not themselves. For example, when I would have conversations about ACN, I'm not talking about ACN from the standpoint of myself. I'm not saying, hey, and don't get me wrong, I'm not messing with the scripts. The scripts work, and I'm not challenging that. But I want you to take some time to think. If I approached you, I'm not coming to you and saying, hey, I need you to do something to help me. No. If I approach you, I'm coming to you to talk about ways that I can help you. Because if what I'm talking to you about can't help you, then let's not have that conversation. Let's get a cup of coffee and talk about what's important to you. And anytime I'm talking to anybody about the ACN opportunity, I'm talking to it because they brought up a need. What are these needs right now? Right now, the average American, 40% of Americans dipped into their savings during the pandemic. Did you know that? And nearly 75% of them used more than 50% of them. Did you know that? These are the conversations we need to be having with people. 400% from being a $400 emergency thing will put me at insolvency. Average American doesn't have a savings. They don't. Not when I say, and I'm talking near 40 to 50% of Americans don't have a savings that they can sustain a $400 emergency. So these are the conversations. The average household income is less than 70K, yet and still the average household expense is almost 80K. So the average person is in the hole. We're actually losing money. We work till 61. The average person works till 61. Many 65, saying they won't retire before 65, more than 50%. 42 years of working as an employee. Now, I'm not knocking that. This thing has changed so many lives. It's created financial freedom for a lot of people, jobs and work environment. I'm not suggesting that, but if I ask, I'll just say this. The average person that I've met with and talked to say they don't want to work that long. They say they don't want to. And so my conversations are always relative to things that they care about. I don't go to I don't go to sell electricity to people. I don't go out there to talk to them about, hey, I need to get some points. I don't talk about points and making dollars. They don't now granted, don't get me wrong. I let the experts do that. I ain't smart like that. when people start talking about the details, when I'm talking to a person, I'm talking to them about them. I'm not talking to them about the business. You know why? Because I got experts. People way better than me can tell them about the business. My job is to bridge the gap between what they need and what I believe is the right vehicle for them to get there. Now, the current American machine economy has a story that it tells. It tells a story that says, hey, if you give me 35, 40, 42, 45 years, I can create something that I call retirement, and you can retire and live a great life. I don't tell that story. My story is I'm gonna continuously throughout my life focus on doing the things that make me better, that I really enjoy doing, that I want to wake up every day doing something that I love. and that I want the freedom to be able to do that. And so I'm going to go out and do things that create that freedom for me. And that's what I'm going to do. Why? Because I want to do what I want to do every day, not once I give you 30, 40, X days, and then I go do what I want to do. If I'm going to give you that 30, 40, years, I'm going to give you that 30, 40 years doing something I'm passionate about. I don't mind giving you those years. I'll give you those years, but when I give them to you, you and I both are going to be achieving our goals, not just you achieving your goals on me. And so, and because it doesn't have to be that way. I think often we accept it that way. So yes, as I told you, the average American is almost annually $10,000 in debt. These are the conversations we need. We just came out of a pandemic. I'm listening to stories of people who are saying, man, I listened to a story of a young lady in New York City that had worked in retail and restaurant business all her life. That's all she knew. She had never been home during where she's really been home any contiguous 7 to 10 days, where she could then take a book and sit down in a room and read. Now, most people are saying, well, these people are lazy and they just want to live up, and maybe, but everybody wants to have freedom to sit down, read a book, and drink a cup of coffee and live on their terms and not on the terms of someone else. Everybody wants that. And so the people who are saying that you're lazy are wanting you to go to work so you can buy the freedom for them to sit down and drink a cup of coffee and read a book. And so when I'm talking to people, these are the things I'm talking about. I'm talking about, hey, the pandemic, how's it affected you? Oh, I'm getting unemployment. So are you good with that? Or I know it's going to end, or my rent is going to be due. What's your plan to get that done? Well, I'm looking at this, and this. And so there's your opening. There's your opportunity. It's the conversations that we have, but many times we're not having enough conversations. And often we don't have the conversations because our perspective is about us. Our perspectives are not often about them, but conversations are a lot easier when your perspective is about them and not about you. And we have to understand that. We have to be able to reverse the roles and think from their perspective. If somebody came to me and said, hey, can I get your electric bill? Would you be open to that? Well, let me tell you something. During deregulation has been going on for the last 10, 15, 20 years. How many people have you given your electric? How many times have you heard that request? And how many times have you done it? Very few. I haven't done it at all. The first time I switched my electricity bill from Alliant, I was paying a fortune in energy. But had been with them forever. It was until I saw Zoom and became my own customers when I switched my energy. My energy is still with Zoom to this day. These are and so why? Because there's something in it for me. So when I'm talking to the people that I'm talking to and I'm creating these conversations, that's what I'm talking about. What's in it for you? And then you say, hey, well, I can get you $5, $10, $13 on your energy bill. And that person just told you, I don't have $400 in the bank that I can. Hey, well, let me ask you guys, let me tell you guys something. Did you know that the starting ETL bonus is $625 for a new ETL right now? Did y'all know that? But here's the key for an existing IBO. Did you know it's $200 per every, well, let me say this. It's $400 for 8 customers, 16 points. So that shortage they have right now on an annual basis, working with that person, here's what I would say. Person says, I don't think I can do that. Well, I know you can't. You probably can. But what you're doing right now is not going to get you to $400. Well, how do you know that? Because it hasn't in the last 15 years you've been doing it. So these are the conversations I have. But what I'm offering you is a proposal, an opportunity to possibly do it that you don't have right now. See, this is how we open doors with individuals to talk to them about. But the way you discover these doors is when you're always probing for what their needs are. So if your conversation is about, if your perspective is about what you're trying to achieve for you, you'll never see these opportunities. But if your perspective is always listening to them, looking for the opportunities, you'll always find these opportunities. Because I assure you right now, they're everywhere. And I'm talking to people who are in the business and they're all saying, hey, I don't know what to do. I don't know where the opportunities are. You're not talking to people. And when you do talk to people, you're not talking to them about them. You're thinking about you when you're talking to them. And so these are the things that we have to change. Let me ask you a question. Did you know there are 2,200 bank accounts are hacked each day? There's one bank account hacked every 39 seconds. Did you know that? Did you know that the biggest fear of the average American is a credit card hack? 71% of Americans are worried about a credit card hack and 67% identity theft. Now at 71%, that's 71 out of 100. But at 67%, that's 2 out of 3 Americans are worried about identity theft. Consumer account costs about $1 on the dark market. Now, these are statistics. Now, this one is a little deep, but the reason I'm throwing this out to you, that means that digital marketers pay $1 for every account they want to get access to. Now, what do they get when they get that? They get your account, your routing number, and all the information necessary to access your bank account. So you want to know why we keep getting hacked? You know, the craziest thing that's amazing to me, I got hacked for over $1,000 not long ago from my bank, and they put my money, they put the funds in that account on hold for I think 30 to 60 days. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, your security breach is your problem. This is not my issue, this is your issue. You got hacked, your security, and now you have my funds tied up because you got hacked. I mean, you see the issue with this. They're saying this year cybersecurity is going to cost the world $6 trillion. $6 trillion. These are the things we need to be talking to people about. Not hey, I got ID Seal, can I sign you up? No. That ain't the way to approach that. They're going to tell you if you talk to them long. And by the way, let me tell you something. Most people say, I don't have that amount of time. Well, clearly right now we got 42 years. I'm always talking about the basics. I mean, why do we not have time to get freedom on our term, but we got 42 years to give? I don't have 42 years. I'm gonna be honest with you. Here's another statistic. 75% of Americans believe property crime is a problem. More than 3 out of 4 believe that homeowners believe property crime is a problem. And half of them have been victimized, have been robbed, burglary, 90% of them. And burglary was 90% of that. So I do these numbers and these statistics so I know how to communicate with people intelligently from their perspective. I only know this information because I need to know what things they're concerned about, so I know how to fashion the conversations that I have with individuals. And knowledge is the key. We say the greatest of all time. The greatest of all times when it comes to what we do is the person that has the most information. I always draw this X when I'm dealing with anything. The guy that has the most information has the greatest, has the least invested and the greatest return. The guy has the least information, invests the most, and gets the least return. And this is the way. So we spend all of our time working, grinding. But the truth be told, we should spend our time gaining information and knowledge of our craft, mastering what we do. How do I have conversations? Who do I talk to? When do I talk to them? I remember, there's a gentleman in our industry named Holton Buggs, and he was having a presentation, and he made a statement. He in the statement that hold on one second, let me shut this down. Sorry about that, guys. He made a statement, and in that statement, he says he opened the conversation. I'm gonna teach you. He's one of the top in the industry years ago, and he says, I'm gonna teach you guys. I'm gonna give you my DMO, my daily method of operation. He started off and he started talking, but along the way, he says, but one of the things you'll know about me, I can friend better than anybody that you know. I will friend you faster than anyone else. So he goes on and he talks to them for about another 5 or 10 minutes. And he gets ready. He says, okay, now I'm going to give you my DMO. Everybody starts pulling out their pads and their pens, getting ready to take notes. He says, you know, you're getting ready to take notes because I'm about to tell you a bunch of things that I do every day. He said, but I've already given you the secret to what I do. He says, I will outfriend you. And what that means is I will build relationships with people faster than anybody else. And that is the key. Key to what we do is meeting people, getting to know those people, digging into them, caring about where they are and what they do, and listening to them when they tell us what their needs are, and just fulfilling those needs. Remember, that we say it all the time, the greatest in the kingdom will be the greatest servant. That's why I always say in the marketplace, it's a person that brings the most value will be the greatest in the marketplace. The person who serves more people serves the most people will be the most successful. That's why McDonald's serves all the, what is it, 30 billion burgers? The guy who serves the most burgers has the biggest franchise. The guy who serves the most coffee, Starbucks, is the biggest coffee franchise. The guy who has the most cell phones, who sells the most cell phones, is the biggest cell phone company. I mean, it is what it is. So who's the most successful person in ACN? The guy that's helped the most people save money on electricity. Who needed to save money? The guy who's studied his customers and found out that they were concerned about $400, and he signs them up and helps them get that $400 through the bonus. The guy who deals with a group of people or two people, and he shows them how to protect themselves from credit card fraud. And they go back and tell 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people, hey, this guy helped me. I told him I would recommend him. I can't tell you the number of customers. I have a lot of electricity customers. I can't tell you the number of electricity customers that started with one person. I had a young lady that talked to a beautician. She could have never known that this beautician owned a beauty school. She could have never known that same beautician owned 12 properties. She could have never known that the family was part of a real estate investment trust. And she could have never known that she would sign up almost 50 electricity accounts from that one appointment. That's how it happens, isn't it? But we don't want to do that. We don't want to do the work of our craft, which is building relationships. That's why it's called relationship marketing or network marketing. Why? Because it's about building connections with people. And that is the raw material of this industry. The raw material of this industry is relationships with other people. But unless you bring yourself, if you continue to say, I do not have the time to do that though, then this is not the industry that you need to be building in, because this is what it takes to build this business. I told you, I have customers that I have, you know, the bonus that we currently have on the table right now. I have one customer that qualified me for that bonus twice. So I guess but that person is a customer of mine and has been one for a long time. But I was a customer of theirs and was one many years before they became a customer of mine. And so this is what it takes. This is what it takes to become a Julian Lewis, Al Thomas, Mike Mazer, or Aaron Bird or James Allen. This is what these guys have. I admire Aaron Burt's story about how he gets paid when the lights in Baltimore are turned on. And we all get excited about that. And we want to run around the place and shout to the B3 organ. But the truth be told, That didn't happen overnight. It was somebody that he talked to that knew somebody that they talked to that knew somebody that they talked to that knew some, and it went down the road until that happened. You got to be willing to build that. You got to be willing to invest that to achieve that. Nothing in life is cheap. But I will tell you this. I look at all the things that I brought up before. I think, real quick, I did some numbers. The $400 at 10% on energy is 88 accounts. But that's $400 a month. It's 13 ID seal accounts. We'll pay you that $400. Now watch this. The $6,780 monthly expense. Now it is a lot of energy accounts, but did you know it's only 94 Vivint accounts? It's 216 ID seal accounts. But it's the 6,780 every month. And if it's Vivint, if it's the 94 Vivint accounts, did you know that it's going to pay you it's going to pay that expense for you for 10 years on average? I'm just throwing it out there. I ain't trying to say nothing. And then let's talk about the average $70,000 salary. Let's say, yeah, it's 15,000 energy accounts. It's a lot. Because the average energy average energy bill is $114.44 at 40%. 10%, yeah, it's a lot of accounts. But you're an RVP, so your percentage goes up. In actuality, your percentage would go up to 20%. It'd be more than that, actually. So it'd go down to around 7,500 accounts. And you got a yearly salary that you're making every month. But check this out. With Vivint, even at the 10% with Vivint, sorry about that, it's less than 1,000 accounts. 42 years, though. I want you to think about that now. You don't think you could do 1,000 accounts in 42 years? I would venture you could probably pull that off. But with turnover built in and all of that. The network marketing model and system is a really strong model for creating freedom and independence. And it is a future method of work. I mean, none of us would go back to the horse and buggy. Everybody wants to go forward to a Bugatti and a private jet. The same is true here. Many of us are using an old work model, definitely in working class. I mean, if you're a professional and I understand you have a gift, you have a skill, I understand you work in your skill and you build a future for yourself. But if you're a person saying, I want a different life and I want freedom, I want time freedom, I want financial freedom, and you're surrounded by a group of people who think the same way, this industry is one of the greatest models for achieving that. I am so fascinated by this network and relationship, particularly relationship marketing industry. I'm captivated by it because I've done all the other things. I've said this before. I've been an employee. I've been a business owner. I've been a big business owner. I've been and I've even been a silent investor. And of all those things is great, but one where we work together and we can get free together, and the work that I get pays me to help you get free. That's a hard model to beat. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Lewis. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Mr. Williams, thank you so much. I was right there with you in the chat, and you're absolutely right. I mean, when people really start to think about the power of residual income and what it can bring, and the way you put it, and it works well for me. I was getting excited with my engineer mind because I have to see the real numbers. But when I see the real numbers and I'm able to combine that with how we're helping people, and we're able to lead, just like you said, in how we're helping people and serving people. Service to many leads to greatness. Everything that you said, the more people you serve, the more success you have. But when you understand the number, it motivates you and it excites you to know that there is no other industry like what we have. And then there's no other business within the industry like ours because of the gas and electricity, the services, the Vivint. So Mr. Dwight Williams, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
For sharing that, because that was powerful.